On round 3 of the European Women's Blitz Chess Championship, the impossible thing happened. I got paired against my mother, Grandmaster Pia Cramling. Now, it's very strange to compete in a tournament game against your own family because, to be fair, I don't want to lose this game, of course, but I also would feel really bad if I won. So psychologically, it is very strange, and I'm sure that for my mother, that is the case too. But anyways, we smiled, shook hands, and the game started. So I went d4, she went knight f6, I went c4, she went e6, and I knew that she was going to play the Nimzo-Indian because my mother has said in the past that she thinks that some of my lines against the Nimzo-Indian have not been so good in the past. So I was actually kind of expecting her to play this. I mean, she knows me so well. She knows every single thing that I play, so she can just kind of pick and choose within my repertoire. But anyways, she went for the c5 line, which is, well, one of the lines that in the past I didn't really know how to face, but now I've learned to go g3. So, and this is also part of my course that my mother did. So you can find more about this in the course. I'll link it in the description. But anyways, so bishop g2. And the idea of going g3, of course, is to fianchetto the bishop, but also maybe sometimes I can go bishop f4. And some of my plans are going to be to try to get rid of that bishop on c5, and then I know that she has to go d6 at some point, and then I'm going to try to create some issues. So I went castles, of course, just gotta get my king into safety, and like you can see, the time control of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. So I had to be very fast here. So she went d6, and this is also very common because sometimes her idea is going to be to go e5. So I went a3 because, like I mentioned before, I want to get that bishop to have to move back. And she doesn't ever want to go a5 and stop that because then she's going to get some nasty hole for my knight on b5. So anyway, she went e5, and now I had to think, should I go b4 or should I not go b4? That was the question. I decided to first go rook d1 because I thought my rook is going to want to go there anyways, just kind of pointing towards that pawn. And so far I felt very good. I felt like I'd gotten a good opening and I just felt very happy. So she moved her bishop, and I kind of thought, wait a second, okay, now my pawn is a bit weak. What do I do with my pawn? How do I defend it? I mean, I cannot really now push up my pawns 2 steps on the queen side and attack the bishop because, well, then maybe my pawn will be very weak forever, I thought. But I decided, therefore, to go b3 instead, simply defending that c4 pawn. My mom went castles, and I was now deep into thought, but I thought, Anna, you can't play slowly. You have to go fast. So I went bishop b2. I decided this is where my bishop is going to go. And I had to now try to keep up understanding what the plans were. So the knight moved to d7. Now all of our pieces were developed, and here my dad actually wanted to get my mom her glasses cleaners because she needed them before the game, but she kind of said nope, not now. She was also busy playing this game, of course. Rook c8, rook c1, got my rooks into the center, and she went rook d8. And it was in this moment that I thought, okay, all our pieces are on the most optimal squares. What is the plan? That is what I had to figure out. So this, of course, is not an easy question. It's the most difficult question in every chess game. It's, what should I actually do? But I had an idea, which was to go with my knight back to maybe try to put my knight on e4. So I was trying to maneuver my knight to put some extra pressure on that d6 pawn, because now I'm threatening basically to go b4, threatening the bishop, and then to take that pawn. And my mom went b5 here, which was actually a mistake. And so I thought, wait a second, can I not just go b4? What is happening? Am I not just winning a pawn? What should I do? I was just so excited because I could tell that my position was very good now. But my mom was keeping a poker face, and she was playing way faster than me. But I was getting really excited. Could I maybe, you know, get a win against my mom? I don't know. I was getting excited. I mean, a part of me, like I mentioned before, also was like, wait, this would feel weird, but I was getting a bit excited here. So she traded knights, and now she was in a complicated position because I'm threatening her bishop, and if the bishop moves, I will win her pawn on d6. I'll be threatening the rook, and I will also be defending my own pawn. So here I am clearly better. And she spent now quite a bit of time trying to understand what to do, and she actually ended up sacrificing her bishop because she thought that my position would become too strong if I was able to take that pawn on d6. Now the point is, of course, that she's going to be able to get a few pawns, but I thought she still has a very weak pawn on d6. This cannot be that good. So I went queen d3, the best move. The point being that I'm threatening the pawn on d6. If she takes my pawn on b4, I can go bishop a3. And I now knew that I was winning. So this was now very exciting. I was even thinking about the title of the YouTube video being called "I beat my GM mom," but this is not something great to think about in the middle of a game when you have 30 seconds left. I've told myself many times to not make that mistake, but I was definitely getting ahead of myself here. I was getting very excited. She pushed her pawn. I was not afraid of this. I went knight c5, also best move. I was playing incredibly good here. It was like genuinely like an incredible game. I was simply just finding all these best moves. My pieces were so active. I was gonna trade everything off. My mom's time was going down. Everything was going perfectly. She exchanged knights. I took it back. The queen moved to c7. She wanted to try to win that pawn. I only had 17 seconds left. It was time to make a decision. I decided to go f4, which was maybe a bit of a weakening move, but basically I just wanted to get that d4 square for my bishop, and I was getting really freaked out about my time. So I went f4. Now I'm immediately threatening her pawn, so she kind of needs to make a decision. But my plan was also that I really wanted my bishop to be very strong on that diagonal. So she took the pawn, which I was happy about. I took with the g pawn. And now I had an incredible square on d4 that I could perhaps place one of my pieces in. So she was getting nervous as well because her time was ticking. Now someone stood in front of the camera, so I told them to move, but I got stressed because I only had 10 seconds left. I traded rooks, and I played the move queen d4, activating my queen, and now she had to move the queen because otherwise it would be a very easy win for me. So I went rook a1 to try to win that pawn. But her queen is stuck now, defending the checkmate. All her pieces are kind of stuck right now. So this is definitely not good for her at all. Her time was really ticking now. 13 seconds. I was sure at this point I was going to be able to win this game. She went rook c8. I went bishop c3. I could have taken the pawn, but I wanted to really make it easy for myself, I thought. She defended her pawn. I went rook a5, threatening the pawn on d5. Now I was going to win that pawn too. The man was about to stand in front of the camera again, so I asked him if he could move. I took her central pawn. She moved the rook. I took her bishop, and now everything was just so good. I pinned her rook. I went f5, and I thought, if we get an endgame like this, it'll be an easy win. But actually, after trading queens, this endgame is just a draw. I didn't understand that in the time trouble, I hadn't been able to really count the pieces, and I just thought, oh, an endgame a piece up, I should be winning. But I didn't have enough pawns, and I didn't realize that. So I now had a drawn position. We had very little time. She tried to push her pawn, but I blocked it. She went h4, I went h5, h4. She traded now pawns, and now once again I had a much better position. I was just simply able to get my king up, but I started getting really worried about this c pawn that could potentially start moving. So I started kind of moving my bishop around. I wasn't really sure of where to go, but I now thought the c pawn is just marching. How do I ever stop that pawn? Now I got really nervous because I really thought, wait a second, I might just not be able to win this. She won my h pawn. She was playing this so well. She was playing this endgame so well. And I now realized that this I can never win. I am actually worse here. And so I started really freaking out. I thought it's time now to just simply win these pawns. Come on, Anna, go and pick up the pawns. I took her pawn, and now I started getting really worried. So I try to stop that pawn from pushing, and here I ended up actually simply taking that pawn because I thought this endgame is a draw, and I now knew that this endgame was a complete draw. A lot of people were standing around us looking at this. I knew this was objectively an easy draw, but I started getting really nervous about the fact that so many people were watching and about the fact that this was an easy draw. I kind of hated the fact that I knew this was an easy draw. So I think I was playing this in the correct way. I had to kind of defend from behind, but I started getting a bit nervous here. I was playing a bunch of moves back and forth with my rook, even though this is just the right way of defending. There wasn't really anything weird about this, but in this position, right now, a crazy thing happens. In this position, well, very soon, you're not going to believe it, my mom puts her rook on the same file as my rook, and I do not see it, and the public couldn't believe it. Look at this girl just saying, hey, what is happening? We both didn't see that the rook was hanging for several moves. I cannot believe this. It is completely unfathomable. I've never really experienced something like this. The king now went to the wrong place and I completely messed this up. The king, of course, has to go to f1. I knew this, but I for some reason was just really nervous here, and I was just now really upset that I was gonna lose the game because I realized this was lost. And I was also upset that I didn't play king f1 because I realized, wait, why did I not just go king f1? But I cannot believe that this rook thing happened. It is one of the craziest things that have happened. People thought there was something wrong with the DGT board, but there just wasn't. And here, this was now just lost for me. My mom had gained a bunch of time and she knows her rook endgame. So here, the point is that if I take her pawn, she will go rook e8 check and I will lose the rook. And here I resigned. Because if I go king f3, she goes rook f8 check and then my rook is hanging. But this girl in the back, she's, so surprised about this game because she knows that we both hung our rook several times. And she actually told us after the game, she was like, did you see that you hung your rook like several times? And we both didn't see it. And I think that is the crazy thing that psychologically, I mean, of course, if I look at a chessboard and I see a rook hanging, I will see a rook hanging. But psychologically, when you're not expecting a piece to be hanging, I was never expecting my mom to blunder her rook in an equal endgame ever. I was just thinking about my king. I just didn't even look for it. So let this be a lesson to always look for things hanging and never think that a game is decided. Just really keep your eyes sharp and open the whole time, because even the best players can sometimes blunder. And I know my mom had the same thing. She played a game against Ju and June, the strongest woman in the world at chess, and she blundered a fork, Ju and June, and my mom didn't see it until it was too late because she would never expect her to do something like that. So these things happen, and yeah, but it was a crazy game. I hope you enjoy this. I was a little bit sad that I lost to my mom, but I was actually also happy that she won because, well, it's my mom. Of course I want her to win deep down. But surprise, surprise, this would not be the last time I would face my mom whilst being in Monaco for the European Women's Blitz and Rapid Chess Championship. So very soon, I'll be letting you know how the other game went. But first, we have a few more games to uncover from the Blitz Chess Championship.